Hi, and welcome to another great edition of Sunshine Startups Live. I'm your host, entrepreneur, investor, and startup enthusiast. We are broadcasting live from eMerge, celebrating 10 years. Truly exciting event where it's basically a collision conference where startups come, venture capitalists come, partners, and we come together once a year to really celebrate entrepreneurship in this wonderful and burgeoning ecosystem. Truly exciting. And of course, I'm joined by my colleague and friend at the Levan Center, John Wensveen. Dr. John, it's great to be with you.
Great to be with you, my friend. And it's not just a podcast, right? This is a special edition podcast, and we'll explain why in just a moment, but it's very special. This is 8th year out of 10 for me at eMerge, and to see it grow and really bring in the world has been really quite exciting, and this has been no exception this time around in 2024. So a big congratulations to eMerge and the visionary behind it, and that's probably a good segue over to you, Jim, to get this started.
It is, and if you didn't know our guest, I'd be surprised. So affectionately known as the godfather of tech in Miami, serial tech entrepreneur, real estate magnate originally in Miami, and built several businesses and gave birth to this conference, this wonderful conference here, what we call eMerge Americas. And Manny Medina, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're busy today on day 2 here at eMerge, and thanks for taking a few minutes to talk to some of our entrepreneurs that are listening. And I want to congratulate you on another successful eMerge. 10 years, this must be incredibly special for you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my thoughts, and I'm so happy to have you guys here. And what's really amazing to me, even today, as we celebrate the 10th year, is that we're actually in Miami, right? I mean, this is something that if you would have thought 10 years ago that could be possible to have 20,000 of my closest friends come from all over the world, having 110 startups being selected from 600 submissions, entrepreneurs coming literally from all over the world wanting to house their startups here in Miami, having this massive amount of family offices and VCs all converging in the Miami Beach Convention Center. I would have thought, even though we always thought that Miami had the potential, and that's why eMerge was launched, I think that seeing it just never ceases to amaze me where we have gotten, right?
So South Florida is really on fire when it comes to innovation, technology, and entrepreneurship, and you just really hit the nail on the head about what's going on in the ecosystem. And I believe that eMerge Americas is the DNA. It is the center of the recipe that made what South Florida and my greater Miami area is today. So when you started out with the vision of what you wanted to do versus where we are today, has it met your or exceeded your expectations, and where do you see eMerge 10 years from now?
Okay, so 2 parts, and let me tell you, maybe it's a little bit just to put it in context, why I came up with eMerge, right? I founded and grew and took public and sold a technology company headquartered in Miami. It was a company that basically was mainly in the IT infrastructure, cybersecurity. It became a global company, and we had operations all over Latin America, all over Europe, and obviously all over North America. And the fact that we were headquartered in Miami was always a detriment, in the sense that it was extremely difficult to recruit not what I call number 1 draft picks, right? Basically, coming out of air, and that. Number 2 is when I went to Latin America, and I would meet an entrepreneur in Buenos Aires or Sao Paulo or whatever, their goal was always to go to Silicon Valley or to go to New York, to go to Boston. So when I sold the company, I said, what can I do basically to help? Because I've always felt that we've always had the ingredients, right? We have the geography, we are very welcoming, and that's a big difference. Miami is very welcoming, and when I say Miami, by the way, I mean extended South Florida, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, it's very welcoming. So I said, what can I do? And the inspiration was South by Southwest. Mm-hmm. I go to South by Southwest every year, and I said, this is in Austin, Texas. We're in Miami. We got the geography. We got Latin America. We got Europe. So that was the inspiration. At the very beginning, I did not know. Even though we felt intuitively that there was a need for it, the first person that I spoke to was Melissa, my daughter, who you already had in this podcast. And, after telling me that I was crazy, she says, when do we start? Basically. So the point being is that we didn't know what to expect. We did I've always had a kind of thought big in the sense that I said, let's do it at the Miami Beach Convention Center, the first one. If it doesn't work, listen, it's a good. We did it all out of our own funds and said we'll do it and it will be a good contribution. But we thought that it would work. The first year we had about 5,000 people. We spent 2 years evangelizing to government, academia, enterprises, and then we launched it. We really didn't know what to expect. It's like most of the entrepreneurs that are listening today, you have these dreams, you have these thoughts. It's not until you get going, and then you pivot here, you pivot there. So eMerge Americas filled the void and the need. It has surpassed our most optimistic expectations. There are billions, I cannot tell you how many billions of dollars of VC and family offices are here today. I cannot tell you today, we were pitching in Santiago. We were listening to pitches in Santiago, Chile at the end of the year. I personally went with the president of the University of Miami, with Julio Frank, and every entrepreneur wants to be in South Florida today. So I think
amazing, isn't that?
Right.
Isn't that incredible?
It's crazy that that it's actually happened, right? And it's no longer an issue. It's no longer a question. Recruiting today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to tell. On the contrary, we basically these number one draft picks are coming on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really surpassed our most optimistic expectations. The heart of eMerge has always been the startups. Mm-hmm. That's the purpose of it. So today, when we were selecting the top 25, it's actually painful because it's thrilling, but on the other hand, you have 80 that didn't make it. They all make it because they've all gotten significant traffic, etc. But that's their heart, basically, and all of them want to stay here, and etc. So I'm very, very pleased. The eMerge team does this obviously out of love and just this passion that they have to help our ecosystem thrive. So,
Manny, you've been an incredible visionary, obviously, in multiple ways. You have sort of this almost crystal ball that you've been able to see sort of potential changes and trends, obviously from real estate into tech, and then to recognize that Miami has such and the South Florida market has such a potential for entrepreneurship. And I know when I started my company over 22 years ago, there were no accelerators and incubators and so forth. And certainly when you started your company, that wasn't even in the potential encyclopedia about that. So, 10 years now and seeing this growth, but you went through COVID, and COVID, obviously for a conference, must have been an incredibly challenging time. How are we going to, reform and remodel this conference and sort of get back to, but that's all about entrepreneurship, isn't it? The ups and the downs and the crisis and coming out of it, and then ultimately, obviously, coming out strong. Talk about that. How important was that to come out of COVID, reform eMerge, and really get to where it is today, celebrating 10 years?
Actually, Jim, that's a great question that I'm seldom asked, right? Because basically, Melissa, my daughter, whom you met, she's a tough cookie. She's a very tough girl. And I'm telling you, I have never seen her cry as much as she did when we had to pull the plug on eMerge for COVID, right? Literally, look what it takes to get this plan. 2019 had been a fantastic year, the best year ever for eMerge. And then we were on our way, 2020, we were blowing all the numbers out of the water. And then first South by Southwest canceled, and she came to me and said, "Dad, we have to do it. We have to pull the plug." And I still get emotional, but again, to the purpose of entrepreneurs. So I said, listen, let me tell you something. In my life, every time that something bad has happened, I don't appreciate it the moment that it happens, but subsequently it happened because eventually it will be better. And so I took her and the team, and what they did is they pivoted. They pivoted to a virtual platform. They pivoted to creating a significant amount of content. They began working with very large corporate partners like Ford, etc., creating kind of content for them, again on the entrepreneurial side. And as they bided their time, they created a whole new business out of eMerge. eMerge right now, this is the big event, right? And all of you are here, but eMerge is literally a 12-month, 24 hours, and the amount of content that is being created here. You guys, basically is an example. So COVID, like all entrepreneurs, and that's what I meant about pivoting. You got to be able to say, okay, this happened to me. It wasn't my fault. even if it was your fault, it doesn't matter. But this definitely, how do I capitalize on it? And that's what the team did, and I'm very proud because now, of course, back to normal. The great thing was, though, Jim, that in 2022, it was big. People, they were cooped up. They have been, in a room for 2 years.
Couldn't wait to get out.
And they couldn't wait to get out. And I'll tell you something. We actually had a few instances because people really wanted to party, which has always been a big part of eMerge, by the way. eMerge is three things, right? Basically, it's content, as you saw. Yeah. Number two is networking, which is what we're doing here. And number three is fun, right?
That's right.
We do a lot of things for fun. So that 22 post-COVID, was an amazing year. So then, last year and this year, we're just extremely pleased where we are.
So you are the definition of the American dream. I've heard your story multiple times, and when Melissa came to visit with us in our studio, she gave your whole life story. We asked her to really show the audience about how someone can go from zero to hero, essentially. And you have been so successful in this region when infrastructure and resources didn't even exist, and it's a much different environment today, and you did it, you mastered it. If you could identify today what's still missing here in South Florida for the entrepreneurial ecosystem that we need to improve upon, or something that we need to bring into this environment, what would it be so that we continue to accelerate success of entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so look, at the end of the day, the number one thing, even though we have critical mass right now, we still don't have critical mass in scale. Mm-hmm. So I think number one, I know it sounds really silly, it's just do more of the same. Mm-hmm. Number one is making sure that you attract this continuing class of entrepreneurs to continue to put their companies here, to attract the capital, to do the things that we need to do that have been successful up to now. Do more of that, and then you have. I think one of the number two, about the same in priority, is really continuing to work on our education. Mm-hmm. I think what NSU is doing, I think what FIU is doing, I think what UM, of course, FIU, Miami-Dade College, which has now become, et cetera, et cetera. I think the educational aspect of it and continuing to create that talent and continue to create this breed of entrepreneurs, basically, it's critically important. And I don't think we're there yet. Mm-hmm. I just was walking down and I saw the new dean of the Northeastern University that they haven't opened yet. To have Northeastern University put a campus here. Now, even our local universities are now understanding that this ecosystem needs to be expanded. Mm-hmm. So I think education is a very big part of it. And then education also encompasses what's going on with government, right? Government continues to be, we now have a whole breed of local political leaders that is different. Mm-hmm. They understand the value of entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. The tweet,
that's right, from Mayor Suarez in Miami.
Mayor Suarez, but it's just not him.
Yes.
Mayor Levine Cava that was here yesterday and today, you see her. From the very beginning, she said, you had me a hello, right? And she basically, she really become a leader. She now has this whole the scholarship program. Everybody who graduates from high school in Miami-Dade County is guaranteed tuition for Miami-Dade College. That's a big deal.
That's incredible.
Right? It's a really, so working on the educational, creating that, because not only do you create the talent to hire, but you create the entrepreneurs. So I believe that's those are some of the things that we need to continue working on.
Yeah. Manny, I mentioned about your vision and being a visionary before. I'd be remiss to ask you, obviously tremendous speakers talking about this AI revolution, this fourth industrial revolution right now. We've had a couple of speakers talking about quantum and the potential benefits, maybe the potential challenges of this super magnificent quantum computing. If you were to put your visionary lenses on again now, what are you seeing? Is it AI going to continue in this movement, this massive change with quantum? Is that what you would say if you were to put your goggles on and look to the future?
I'm doing more than putting my goggles on, Jim. I'm putting my money on.
That's why he's such a smart man.
We had the first eMerge in 2014. We had a quantum presenter, a company called Cambridge Quantum, and 10 years ago. And quantum 10 years ago was really, really early. They were here. They basically were trying to raise money for this whole quantum wave that the professor was coming at a $9 million valuation. Fast forward, I'm just giving you an example of what's happening, right? Cambridge became Continuum, which did a deal with Honeywell, and they just raised $300 million at a $5 billion valuation.
That's a nice return. I'll do that every day.
Nice return, et cetera. No, but the point that I'm making is, has it come of age? Look, I have been investing in technology for a long time. I've seen these tectonic changes. Starting with the internet, basically. I saw what happened with the internet, basically. And I said, this is going to change everybody's lives. Then it happened with virtualization when the hypervisor was born, and then the cloud was born, and it disrupted all the hardware providers. I saw it in mobility, right? Basically, I saw it in cybersecurity when the software bringing cyber from hardware. So all these tectonic changes do two things. It really hurts the legacy companies, and they're still paying the price. I mean, if you look at IBM, look at Cisco, HP, all these companies are still paying the price, and then it creates new companies that create immense amount of value, right? The VMwares of this world. I am telling you today, it's my opinion, and like I said, I'm putting my money where my mouth is, that what we are seeing today is one of the greatest changes that I have ever seen. It's going to affect every industry. It's already affecting. It's going to affect everybody's lives, and the limitation of AI and the large language models and the absorption is really compute capacity. And there's only so those chips can only become so thin, right? They're already like a hair. So when you bring in the power of quantum and you put it together, and you bring the quantum power, which is nature, it's unlimited. So
revolutionary. Yeah.
And what is really amazing for all of us that have seen this in other iterations is at the speed that it's happening. It's happening at a dizzying speed. I mean, what I'm telling you right now is just crazy. I mean, the ChatGPT moment in September of 22, it seems like if it was, look at now. I mean, everybody who doesn't use Chat or any other of the large language models. So I really, one of the things that I really enjoy seeing was in this annual letter from Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon has always been a skeptic. I don't mean in a bad way in technology, because as a matter of fact, they're the sponsors of this of the startup today, JP Morgan. So I don't mean this in a negative way. But he always poo-pooed crypto. He didn't like block, and he said this is going to have the same effect that electricity, that the steam, that it's just one of these moments. So it's exciting. John, when you asked me the second part of the question, I didn't respond. Where is this going? 10 years from now, I think we have a golden opportunity in South Florida to become the hub, right, of what's happening right now. I mean, when we were down in Latin America, there's not a university that is not putting significant resources in, creating the magic potion. So I think it's an exciting time, and I think we have this, what we thought was going to happen in crypto, which never really was this. And by the way, not that blockchain is not important. I think we really have a great opportunity to become a center hub for both the convergence of AI and quantum.
So there's this perception of South Florida, always it's sunshine, cruises, beaches, the tourism, which is always going to be a strong part of our economy. But what you're saying, if things go according to your goggles, do you think that we're going to have an official designation? Is Miami, South Florida, going to be a designated tech hub, a designated innovation ecosystem? It's an opportunity to rebrand what we are. What do you envision that to look like?
Yeah, 100%, John. And what happens is all these designations, it depends who designates it, right? Basically, because I've seen places that designate themselves the happiest city, the tech hub, etc. Those designations are meaningless unless you have the critical mass.
Yep.
So that's what you got to work on. So I think it'll happen on its own. I think one of the things that we can work on better, it's a little bit of a pet peeve for me, and I've tried and I've not been successful, is that we need to be able to bring together Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade County. I tried. I even measured the distance in Silicon Valley from San Jose all the way to San Francisco. It's about the same distance. And when I'm driving from Santa Clara to San Jose to Palo Alto, I don't know. I'm in Silicon Valley, right? Mm-hmm. And here we still have this, when you cross Ives Dairy Road, where's your visa kind of stuff. So, and I mean this, and the reason I'm making it aware is because I tried and I begin, the brand is Miami, so this should be the Miami Tech Corridor, running all the way from Palm Beach to down here. So I think we can do improvements on that.
Yep.
But short of that, I think it's just happening on its own, and the designation is created by, Peter Diamandis, his favorite saying is, if you want to be right about the future, create it yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
So basically,
well, you and I share a very similar vision. That's really one of the primary reasons that the Innovation Center was created at NSU, is the geographic location to help break down the boundaries and not have a visa or passport to cross, but we're making some small progress here and there.
Yeah, awesome. And the fact that NSU has been such a great partner, and Alan Levan, my good friend, I've known for 40 years, et cetera, and all he's doing, et cetera. So I think we are making good strides. Having my alma mater, FAU, here is from the day one. It's a big deal. So.
Well, Manny, I know you're super busy. You got a lot of people to connect to. Everybody wants to shake Manny's hand, and Manny, you've been, and the Medina family have been a catalyst and woven in the fabric here of what has helped really launch and set on fire this region. It's created jobs. And what I love about Manny and Melissa especially, that's so different, eMerge is so different from any other conference that I've ever attended, I'm sure John as well, is that they are incredibly welcoming. Melissa comes over and she gives you, the arms are always open. Manny's hand is always out. He also hugs. It is that type of energy and affection that makes eMerge so different than any other conference. And one of the reasons why I believe is that all these companies come from all over the world, and especially throughout Latin America, to come to Miami and make the trip to be a part of this fabric and to be a part of the Medina family. So Manny, thanks again for your time.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, John.
And congratulations on 10 years at eMerge Americas. Thank you, Manny.
Thank you. Proud to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Remember to subscribe, like, and share the Sunshine Startups Live podcast, and follow us on social media. If you're interested in sponsoring or appearing on the show, please email us at booking@sunshinestartups.live.